Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're using cards for the new Heritage expansion in Standard. So let's go take a look at the deck. So today we're playing a Nilfgaard double-cross Assimilate deck, but this is very different from other Assimilate decks because rather than getting the usual ways to proc Assimilate, we are using a lot of the new cards that just got released. So, let's take a look. We have the usual things like Terranova, but Henry var Attre is new, and basically, first, you'll get 3 options to add a card to your opponent's hand, so make sure you don't give them anything too good. Then, you'll have 3 options to give a legendary card to yourself, and in that case, obviously, you do want to give yourself something very good. So, this is another way to proc Assimilate with that card that you add. Then Coup, Jan for consistency, Joachim, potential Coup target. Rosa and Edna are also new cards, and they are very interesting. On deploy will actually give a card to your opponent. So, once again, don't want that to be a good card. But then with that order ability, you can damage an enemy unit based on how many aristocrats you have in your starting deck, and in this case we have 5, so that's 5-point damage order ability. Then, if you destroy a card with that order ability, you will create a copy of that card on your side of the board and play it, which means you'll proc Assimilate. So, the interesting thing here is that you technically do not need to target the card that you created. You can target any card you want with that order ability. So, if you see something nice that your opponent played, if you have enough damage to destroy it, you can create a copy of it yourself. So there is some serious potential with Rosa and Edna. Lydia, I added this in post after I played the matches because I had previously had Abduction, which was just not working that well. So this is a lot more consistent and a way to proc Assimilate and a way to just, in general, get some high tempo plays. Ffion, solid defender and also a way to proc Assimilate. Treason gives us a little bit of spying, which we do want to have some of that for Terranova and whatnot. Fercart, similar story. Nauzicaa Sergeant, high tempo, procs Assimilate. Then we have Assimilate engines with the Torturer, Practitioner, and Diviner. Then Magne Division, just consistency and, not bad value, some thinning. Imperial Diplomacy, procs Assimilate, but otherwise is a card you're not going to be playing too much, and generally, that is the story for most of the things you see down at the bottom of the deck. So basically, it is, yes, an Assimilate deck, but the ways that we proc Assimilate are very different. So for that reason, the deck feels very different from any other Assimilate decks that I've ever played before. So that makes it really interesting to play. Now let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here, and we'll go first. Okay, so we'd like to play Jan in round 1, preferably, of course. Then Rosa, that's a solid card. Magne Division, that can help us get a little more value out from a little more consistency, and we certainly have tactics in our hand. In fact, we've a whole lot. We don't love Abduction at this stage, at least not unless and until we've used Henry, but we should be able to get him fairly quickly with the help of Jan. I think we'll dump you. And possibly you as well. Okay, so we have some Assimilate as well. So we could get that down on the early side if we would like to. Otherwise, Jan is pretty much always a safe turn 1 play, so maybe we'll do that. Wait to see what our opponent is doing here. They're Enslave 5, for what that's worth. Tourney Joust against Jan. Okay, sure. Well, we know they're going to have a lot of tactics. Fortunately, Jan isn't really doing anything anymore, so we don't care much about him getting targeted. But we would like to have some of our opponent's cards target right about now. So, if we were to Joachim, we get, what, Terranova, I think? Which is actually not something we want to do right now, because he has not had any setup yet. So, yeah, would love if you would play some other things first here. So, we might just need to go Imperial Diviner. Obviously, the Purification is not very relevant at the moment. I'm tempted to Crystal Skull to get you out of stealing and tactic removal range, but I think might save this for Rosa, although, to be honest, probably not about to play her in round 1. Yeah, that was, saw that one coming a mile away. Okay, So, but what I really want you to do is just play a freaking unit on your side of the board, please. Eventually, yes, this will get over to their side, but it'll take a while. And in fact, is there anything clever we could do to mess with this at this point? Not really sure that there is right now, which means we are still quite trapped at the moment. Unless we just played a very I guess we could play you. Yeah, I think we should have Crystal Skulled on our previous turn, to tell you the truth. We'll do this, and... This is interesting. Sure, we'll give you a 1-point Duchess's Informant. Why not? Let's do this. Might use Tall Removal on that, or Yenvo or something like that. We'll see. We have a card on their side of the board we can finally go after. Experimental Remedy, did we? Oh yeah, we did have something. Okay, fair enough. Purify our Veil. Sure. So now we can destroy you and create a copy of you, which is pretty nice. So we created a copy of Duchess's Informant. That doesn't mean that this has to be the card we create a copy of. Whatever we destroy, we create a copy of. So we can go after the Imperial Diviner if we'd like. Obviously, we destroy you, then we can create an Imperial Diviner. So it's kind of similar either way. But why don't we get some additional Assimilate down first to benefit from doing all that stuff. So, sure. That. Then we do that. Then we play you. And I don't think it really matters much at this point. Purification. So remember, this is going to go over to their side eventually, but they did not do anything to boost it proactively, unless they're going to play a Buhurt at some point. Master Puppets. Okay, fortunately, this is a gold, but that's a decent Mage Torturer they could swipe from us. Yeah, it's not positioned very well for us to go after that right now. It's just out of coup range, of course. Joachim, as I was saying, technically we do have something now that Terranova could create if we were to Joachim, which I believe gives us Terranova right now. We could Ffion, block the stealing here, and then be forced to steal a 4-point Imperial Diviner. I'd be a 5-point Imperial Diviner by the time we play Ffion. Maybe we do this. And this is probably the last thing we're going to do in this round, to be honest with you. Like, sure, it's a +1 point play there. Kind of just want this round to end before they get the chance to do anything to that False Siri. And if they had any chance of, or any hopes of Buhurting on her, then that's obviously now much more difficult for them to make that happen. They have to settle for that. Now they also can't mess with our Master Puppets if they had plans to do something about that. Therion. Okay. It's a little concerning, because that does, of course, mean they might be up to some funny business in later rounds, but I'm thinking we might pass here. We have a pretty large lead. At this point, False Siri has just given us value, hasn't given them any value at all. They might have some tall removal for you, but outside of that, it'd be pretty difficult for them to catch us in one turn. So I think we take our chances. There is Buhurt. It's definitely not enough. They definitely wanted to use that on you, so they have to make some pretty serious compromises here. And at this point, they're going to have to go cards down for the rest of the match. Now, the reason why I'm still a little concerned is because Jan could be all set up for a Colgrim, but that would still mean they'd have to have a different number of cards than what we have in our decks, and that is not the case right now. They're just stalling to get False Siri back? Yeah. They'll win round 1, but at what cost? Because we've 3 extra cards, even if they dry pass, we'll have permanent card advantage for the rest of the match. We do draw into Henry, which is good because that sets up Abduction, so now this becomes playable. And Terranova, we're now not concerned about having Joachim get him, and I didn't want to do that because I wanted to save you. We didn't give that many spying statuses. We did give one, but Fercart could help us do a little bit more of that. I imagine they will drive past here, but if not, we could go Magne Division into Treason or Coup. So I think this still works. Obviously, mulligan anything, and we'll continue to draw into our high-value stuff. We do need to put some points on the board here, though. Of course. So it could even be Fercart, who discarded, and maybe we still get the echoed copy of it, right? And it's basically just a way to get 3-point body on the board, similarly with Magne Division. Wasn't there once upon a time, if you played Magne Division, the melee row would not play a tactic from your hand? Because this would be one of those circumstances in which I would like to do that, I think. Yeah. That would be nice. Guess not. Well, still do it. I guess we'll go Coup. Either of these says Echo. So, theoretically, I think we'll still get that back. Yeah. In the next round. So now, Echoed Coup. We have both Sergeants, and we have a little bit of Assimilate left. And we could mulligan something out and then get probably a little bit more Assimilate going if we'd like to. But we have some from Terranova. And Joachim will give us some, I suppose. So that's not terrible in that case. So, alright. Do we need Fercart? I mean, we certainly have special cards to play with him. At least a few. But do we want more spying? Yeah, we can get more spying with Terranova. Not only from his body, but he's going to create a Assimilate unit as well. So, alright, I think this is sufficient. So, as for what we want to start off the round with, it might even be Joachim. We should double check what's going to be Imperial Practitioner. The card we get from that. I think that's fine. I think you probably do go that route. And we know we'll have potential target. Worst comes to worst, we can always go after him with the Coup. Now this is going to get huge, because it's already 13 and it is an engine. So if they have total removal, this is obviously the target they're going to want to go after. They're going to lock. Okay, they might still be able to remove, but it was an engine. Do we... Hold on. The card that we gave spying to set up Terranova. Was it the Diviner? For purification? It might have been, right? So we might even be able to purify still, because we, I believe, only had one of those in our starting deck. So, okay, you know, it's not a bad thing in that case. Why don't we, I guess, we'll just give you spying with the Torturer. I want to get a little more Assimilate on the board before we break out Terranova, who would, of course, usually be one of the last cards you play in the round, but since he's one of our somewhat limited number of Assimilate cards here, and he's going to give us more Assimilate cards when we play him, and Purify, perhaps, this Assimilate card, then I think it does make sense to play him a little bit on the early side. Then we'll start breaking out all of our things that trigger Assimilate, and it is almost everything else. Rune Mage. That'd be a great card to give spying to if we could make that happen. It'd be a nice Coup target or Terranova target. Okay, a little unfortunate, the Kingslayer nonsense. We'll steal that Mage Torturer. Alright, that kind of stinks because, of course, we were trying to load up on Assimilate, but now at least the leader ability is gone. So I think all the more reason why you just break out Terranova now. And I believe we're going to get more Assimilate and purify this Assimilate card as well, if I remember correctly. We'll do this. And yes, you. Little concerned about having big units next to each other because they are tactics decks, so I imagine they will have Treason of their own. But, I mean, all these cards are going to get big at some point. So, Yawn is not that helpful. We will not create a Yawn, I don't think. So now, this is probably all the Assimilate we're going to get, unless we were to get Spying, well, or I guess get Deathblow on Mage Torturer. So we're probably looking to go more the Assimilate proccing route. And Henry we want to use before we use Abduction, so that's also something we're going to want to do in the relatively near future. Kind of would like to get Fercart on the board quickly to set up some more spying. Obviously, it's not relevant for Terranova, but it does give us more options for Coup in the future. Alright, Unicorn, do they have the other one as well? Yes, they do. Of course they do. Why wouldn't they? Why would they ever brick that? Of course they didn't brick that. Kind of strange they're going after the Practitioner when they definitely could have destroyed an engine altogether there. So that's a little odd. But I think we'd probably go Fercart. Well, maybe Henry. Then we can go Fercart into Abduction. Otherwise, if we were to go Henry here. Oh well. Oh, no, we've already. Oh, they. Kingslayers, our other practitioner. I was going to say we might have been able to get a little bit more Assimilate. If not for that, then we could have Fercarted into a Coup. But let's go Henry. With him, we will give... Oh, it's a little scary. Give them a Vatier. We will give us a Terranova. I like that. Hopefully they don't have any ways to give spying, otherwise the Vatier we just handed them becomes a lot scarier. But if they play him, he could be a coup target. Okay, Redea. Open the lock on him. Okay, they're really concerned about this Imperial Practitioner, who we can now, once again, purify the same way we did before, and we might even just do that right now, because that means more Assimilate early. And that means more time to boost those Assimilate cards, so... I mean, unless we really wanted to wait Terranova until we got a little more spying, and possibly might have been able to get a Rune Mage out of it, but I think it's still worth just going here. Doing this, and doing this once again. And now it's still Jan, okay. So now that is 5 Assimilate engines on the board. Even after they banished one of ours and removed at least one of them with damage. Alright, Milton. Just surprised they have him in this deck. That seems like a bit of an odd inclusion. And we could... He's fairly big, so we could use Treason on him and get reasonable value there. It's not terrible, then... he becomes a potential coup target, although I don't love that. I think we do want to play Fercart pretty soon here, though, because we're kind of running out of time for that. It is possible now to Abduction. I honestly don't remember. There were a lot of big cards when we put things in their deck. Is there anything that's less than 10 provisions? Because there might not be. So that's a little bit scary. But, oh, also, we're going to want to use Leader Ability pretty soon. I'm probably going to forget about that. But let's go here. We'll go Abduction. Is there anything? There is not. Okay. Well, there's nothing we could do about that. There were only 3 cards to choose from, and I believe they were all above 10 provisions, so sometimes you just strike out like that. But we do draw into the Turncoat, which we got Spying on Rune Mage, which is a card that we were saying we might want to have Spying on. And then Turncoat gives us another way to get Spying. I'll use the boost on Milton. I mean, now it just makes him even better for Treason purposes. I doubt we're going to play anything bigger next to him, but we'll see. There's the Vatier. That's the card we gave them. So that is actually pretty tempting to coup him with the Death Blow. That means we'll still get a copy of him, and as long as he remains alive and unlocked, we could steal a 7-point Rune Mage. Otherwise, you coup the Rune Mage, and you get the deployability in that case, which is pretty awesome. I mean, they would... At the moment, they'd only be able to lock... Yeah, I mean, I think you do this just to play it safe, so they can't use Vatier. If it were just lock, it wouldn't be a huge deal, but there was some chance they might have found a way to get Spying on somebody. Could create a Vatier in our deck. Sure, I don't think there's... Oh, also we should do this. I assume there's something big we can steal? Yes, there is. Let's do that. So we know they're probably going to Yenvo, what, Terranova, possibly even this Vadier. In fact, that's, I think, actually more valuable. There's the Shoop, right? So who knows what they're going to get from that. And then the Lydia, also a bit of a question mark. This gives them some control potential. Oh, very good amnesty. Okay, so technically we could still destroy this Vadier. They don't... Let's see. So one of these is Shoop, one of these is Yenvo, so they have no way of getting spying. Shoop can't give spying in any way, can he? So that means this is just locks. Maybe we don't care that much about them having it, and we just maximize the Treason value more from a damage standpoint by targeting, I think this Rune Mage would be best. Or we use the Turncoat, get spying on somebody, which is not really a huge deal, but you are technically an engine, so I guess we want to get you down as early as possible. Let's go for somebody who we probably are not gonna destroy anyway with Treason. Wow, they choose to lock that. This is gonna be Yenvo. Yep. Expected target. That's Shoop. Who knows how that's gonna finish? Depends on what direction they choose to go with him. The Hunter, Soldier, you know, all that stuff. But Mage is the most chaotic, which if they're far behind, that might be the direction they choose to go. And remember, we have 3 more cards here, so although they do have a slight lead, it's a little misleading. I think we'll go... yeah, probably still go Treason here. And then we'll just finish double Sergeant. But who knows what's about to happen now. Okay, they go with the Knight. That is the least chaotic. Most straightforward. 14 points of value, not bad. It is definitely not going to be enough when we have all these Assimilate cards still on the board and Nauzicaa Sergeant, which is a point slam in and of itself. But also, we'll activate Assimilate. So we don't even need to play this last one, because we've already won. Alright, so going up against Northern Realms here. And they'll go first. Alright, so let's see. We have Jan. That's a card we definitely want to play round 1. So good to see him here. Nauzicaa Sergeants, not cards we want to play in round 1. So let's mulligan those. Alright, Oniro. Into Mutagenerator. They are, of course, Inspired Zeal. Which... I don't know. Reavers is my first suspicion, of course, but we'll see. Might just go Jan here initially. Never a terrible card to start off with, so we could do that. Otherwise, you'd get some Assimilate on the board early, but nothing to give the spying to. And we do like to give big cards spying, because that can set up Terranova later on. So let's go this route. Just be mindful of how, speaking of Terranova, after playing Jan, that means we would get Terranova with Joachim unless we already have him in hand. We don't, so... probably means we don't want to use Joachim in round 1 in this case. That's just a combo you need to be mindful of for that reason. Okay, Donimir. I don't know. Could mean anything, but I'm still a little suspicious here. Mage Torturer on Donimir, not terrible. That might be worth doing. See how many statuses we can give him. Arbalist. Okay. So... could go Practitioner for even more Assimilate stuff. Tourney Joust, for what it's worth, can hit and damage Donimir. Does, even after we get rid of the shield with it. Would still tank some damage with the arm, which is a little bit unfortunate. But now you are also coolable, which is kind of nice. That could be reason to go with a Practitioner here. Yeah, you know what? Sure, we'll do it. Oh, Oniro. Yeah, you know what? I'd like an Oniro. Okay. No, don't. Well, no, actually, no. Amphibious Assault is fine. Amphibious Assault also works, but there's the Reaver stuff. So I've immediately lost any and all respect for you. Any and all respect for you. Immediately gone. So this card got nerfed in this patch. But I think it's probably still overpowered. Once upon a time, there was a thought process. You're gonna leader ability this to try to... It's still not enough to remove you. So yeah, we'll take Amphibious Assault, because this does, as of several months ago, still work for other factions, so that's fine. So that's good. But yeah, once upon a time, there's a time when the thought process, the consensus was, any card that can play multiple cards is incredibly powerful, and that should only be saved for very high provision abilities, cards, what have you. So to have that on what wasn't this originally 4 provisions? Just insane. Okay, but we could Fercart, and that would draw us into the Onira, wouldn't it? Or rather, the just create a copy of you. We'll protect you since you're only on 3 power, but there's the Amphibious Assault. I mean, I guess we could have used Tourney Joust first. Get rid of the shield a little bit more efficiently. Caraballista, okay. I mean, we do have a defender. We technically have another defender we could play in this row as well if we're really concerned about them dealing damage, which they do have a lot of damage. Ffion does also proc Assimilate, so something to be said for that. They aren't even going to use damage abilities there. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, because yeah, like Tourney Joust at this point is not exactly the strongest of cards. I mean, we could use it to boost ourselves, I suppose. That's probably even a better use case than going the damage route. Lock doesn't really work. We could bleed. Donamir, I guess, is actually the best way to use you. Point being, cards we have left are not great outside of Amphibious Assault, one that we just stole, which we could use for Magne Division, actually. Might be the best way to use that. I think that is what I'm about to do, in fact. Go, Tourney Joust. We will use this on, I guess, you. I probably should put it on you. Just to protect you since you are actually an engine. Just went for the lowest card, but didn't put much thought into it beyond that. But we've now given spine to a lot of their cards, which means Terranova, which we just drew into, should be very effective. And that now means that Joachim is a card we feel okay about using, because we aren't about to drop a round 1 Terranova. Ah, that's why they waited. Okay. And this is also why I was saying maybe getting the shield on the Practitioner wouldn't have been a bad idea. Couldn't do it on the Torturer, obviously, because of the Veil. Fortunately, Donamir's doing a great job of tanking many of these hits for us. Okay. So, bear in mind, though, they have the mutagenerator that has helped them create additional deck boosts. Quite a bit of them at this point. We also totally could have just purified the defender status off Donamir, which is still an option for what it's worth. You do that, and then you, lock the Onager on their next turn? It's not a terrible idea. Tempo-wise, best option remains Joachim. Or Terranova, I suppose. But, you know what? Might even go Ffion here. Assimilate procs. And, now, spying on you as well. Defenders, both rows. Yes, you can still hit these guys. If you really want to, it's mostly the Onager you're relying on for the value there. That might still be enough to dissuade them, though. Vial of Forbidden Knowledge. I mean, they have to use it. If they don't use it this turn, they're permanently going cards down. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, Pellar's not quite enough tempo-wise to be all that meaningful, unfortunately. But if we had any thoughts of... Yeah, I mean, at this point, the Moorlehem Hunter is becoming less and less meaningful. So, and that also means Pellar is becoming less and less meaningful. We'd like to save you for sure. I guess we're still gonna go this route. Just wish one more point, because they're gonna get the boost on Onager if they pass here. I mean, if they do, then sure, we'll just use Moorlehem Hunter and take the round 1 win, and we'll settle for that. But yeah, I imagined they were gonna at least go a little bit further. That's not a bad way to benefit from the meter generator in this round, though. Alright, well, they finally removed Donimir. But it's been a real pain in their side. So now we can lock the Onager. Is that all that meaningful at this point? It might not be. Yeah, it's going to get at least 1 point of value if they were to use that ballista. Are they going to have more units with order abilities? Maybe. Maybe not. That would affect the value on the arbalists. But is it even possible for us to catch them with Joachim on our following turn? Joachim at this point I'm pretty sure would give us Henry, which is good, but that does require that they have not yet passed, which we don't really know if that's going to be the case. We're going to take our chances, though. Might go leader ability if we have to. Alright, they do play further. It's Flotsam, it has resilience. And it's Rivian Pikeman. Does have an order. Does get them a pretty huge boost. Okay. So, oh, and they might have accidentally hit themselves there by trying to take a last-second order ability with the ballista. Okay, so is Joachim giving us Henry enough? It's -4, but then +16, or net +12. We both add cards to our hand of who knows exactly how much value. But I think the deficit is big enough here that that's not really going to work. And that's one of the reasons why I don't love this resilience here, because that gives them, in addition to all the deck boosting they did, some potential to 2-0 us here, even if we have one more card than they do. Oh, I forgot we created an amphibious assault. Okay, so that is useful. Echoed Coup, which we can always use on Joachim. And here's Henry. We do want to use Henry fairly early in most circumstances. Terranova, we need to be a little bit careful, because he is an engine. So don't want to be stuck playing him at the very end of or in a really short round in general. He does have, I think, Donimir as an option, which means decent tempo if we need to go that route, but just need to be careful. Okay, they do play. They do play. They're a card down, mind you. So this is a pretty big risk. And that is very bold to go around. I mean, they have leader ability charges, I suppose. Fair enough. Okay. So we know there are 5 provision cards. They presumably still have a lot of them. And they have received a lot of deck boosts. Actually, surprise. Okay, it got 3 deck boosts. Okay. Suppose that makes sense. So, yes. Terranova, we need to be careful we don't play him at the very end, otherwise he's not going to have any time to benefit from the Assimilate. He can create a Donimir, I think is the most valuable option for us. That could help protect him. It's not a terrible idea, especially because they want to get value from the Arbalist, and that makes it hard for them to do. So I think we might even do that right now. There are definitely some options here. I don't think you're going to work because we have mostly just golds. I think it is Donimir. I think it is probably just Donimir. Okay, Centurion Royal Guard. Pretty big. This is why we like Donimir, not just for the point slam, but also because he can tank that damage very well. So, I think our highest provision unit is definitely you. Which, I mean, a little hard to get the death blow on anything other than maybe Joachim. No, yeah. So Joachim plays you, and then we use you to kill Joachim and replay Joachim. I think that works. I think that makes enough sense. Does it activate the crew ability if we play Joachim? Let's not test that. Let's maybe not test that. Okay, so yes, this is what we were expecting. High tempo, which is good. This is a card we're going to give them to make it bad. I guess it's you. So we don't have to go after this envoy. We can go after whichever card we'd like to. We need to get the death blow, but it doesn't matter if it's the one we created or if it's one that they have through other means, which is why I was saying use that to make another Joachim. Okay, not terribly surprised to see more Reaver nonsense. Donimir doing what Donimir does best. And they are trying to be really disrespectful with this super aggressive 2-0ing point slam, reckless disregard, does not care the least bit about us, or being a well-mannered Gwent player. Respect means nothing in modern Gwents. No, we long forgot about that value. Okay. So, Amphibious Assault is also a bit of a point slam here as well. But, so, you for that. In fact, I think that is... Oh, if we want to use Henry, we need to use him now. Yeah. I was going to say, we want to do this before we use Coup and Rosa, because it's going to mean more Assimilate procs. But we need to do this, otherwise we're not going to have time. So let's go here. Okay, this is what we're giving them. So give them Menno. So that's presumably something they can't use at all. Baraxis is very interesting for us. I like that. Oh, also, I totally forgot about Double Cross, which, granted, you know, probably wouldn't usually like to use in round 2, but we might have no choice. Okay, they do use Menno. I assume they have nothing here they can do with Menno? Okay, other than put them next to Rafford's Vengeance. Fair enough. Okay, so now we'd like to remember original Varaxis, unevolved, does not give Zeal. So we can't play him on our last turn. Last turn is still looking like it's Coup. What is next Joachim going to give us, by the way? Now it's really hard to tell. So, not entirely sure. But I think it's still going to have to be this to give us Mage Torturer, or really any other Assimilate. We have reason for purification? Not really. So let's do this, this, that, and that, and that, and this, and this, and this, which we should put on Donimir, but fair enough. So next turn would be Varaxis, reset this, and then finish with Coup. But they might not play here. I mean, they used Menno, which is the card we gave them, which was a bad card. The card they still had was Oniro. Obviously, at this point, leader ability is not going to work, but I don't think we'll need it in this round, depending on just how ridiculous this play is. Well, it's a casting contest to, well, set up this card. what was I saying about? I'm pretty sure I was saying how once upon a time this was, you know, the whole playing additional cards thing was supposed to be saved for only the most special of circumstances. But okay. Big value, but I think we can still make this work. So oh, but it's gonna take a turn because you don't have Zeal either. Okay, that is unfortunate. Okay, so Varax's Prince is not gonna work. We could just coup on Joachim or on Rafford's Vengeance. We coup Joachim. I don't know who we get. I mean, I guess we might as well, because as we were just saying, this doesn't work anyway. This is nice. That is nice. Oh, and does that feel good? Winning by 1 point with a card to spare and leader ability to spare against Reaver Scout spammers. A little bit of karma. Not only that, but now Varaxis evolves. Abduction, I mean, we did put some new cards in their deck, but that still feels like that might be a little riskier than we'd like to be playing here, and we don't have great cards to reset the order abilities on anymore. Practitioner maybe, but Treason, I don't know if we're going to be able to benefit much from that in a short round. Might not have too many cards next to each other. Okay, I mean, technically this is an order that is worth some value, so that could end up being our Varaxis target. Varaxis, I think, more than anything, might just end up being a way to proc Assimilate here, and in fact, because we still have leader ability, and because they currently have 3 cards left, we should play Assimilate turn 1, leader ability turn 1, and we get 1 extra point of Assimilate boost from that. It's probably going to end up being you. And let's see what we're dealing with here. Okay, well, they have a heat wave. That's good to know. I think it's going to have to be you. I don't think they're going to have the points potential to stop us here. They can get rid of 1 big card with heat wave, but they aren't going to score that many points themselves. Unless those cards have been highly deck boosted, which, to be fair, is the case. At least for that one. So we should get the Turncoat down here as well, because that is an engine. Now it has something to go after. Let's do that. And we're going to reset your order with Varaxis. A little more value there, but we should put the Diviner down for... yes. Just don't purify you. So now we know that's a heat wave. Which they'll use to get rid of, I guess, you? Honestly, that's just as valuable. But that's still not enough, right? And that's even before we play Varaxis. Oh, okay. We're tied, so we need to play Varaxis. Or at least do that. Play Varaxis, we'll go melee row. Reset this. Hit you again. And win the match. So there's a look at a new Nilfgaard Assimilate deck for Standard Mode. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions we should experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.